That's all the Swedish from me today, so I'll take the rest in English, unfortunately. My name is Amin. I am the CEO and founder of Kiwio, and today, once we get the presentation on the screen, today I'll be talking about how to create interactive shopping experiences for e-commerce platforms, and why it matters today to focus on creating a great experience for your customers online. Perfect. Tack. So, as I was saying, we're going to talk about how to create an interactive shopping experience online and why it matters for your e-commerce platform today, and why it matters for your customers today. This is what the 90s looked like in the UK. I don't know what the 90s looked like in Sweden, but this was very fashionable back then. And these horrible clothes and bold, stripy colors. So I'm glad fashion has changed quite a lot since then. But I'm gonna start off this seminar by making a bold statement, just as bold as my 90s look here, and that is that even though e-commerce has changed a lot since the 90s, the shopping experience online that we have today hasn't really changed so much at all, in fact. Some of you may disagree with me, some of you might think I'm crazy, but just keep that in mind, and I'll explain a little bit later on. So after I grew up a little bit, I ended up going to film school. So my background is largely in film production, in the film industry. I was trained to be a film director. So when I worked in London, I worked on movies like this. If you don't know what this film is, this is The Martian with Matt Damon. He gets stuck on Mars all by himself, and he has to learn to grow potatoes. So it sounds like a boring movie, but it's good, I promise. So give it a watch if you haven't seen it. During my time in London, I was lucky enough to work with one of the best film directors in the world, called Ridley Scott. And I worked with him on some of these movies. I worked with him on TV series. I worked with global companies creating commercials and global marketing campaigns. And during this time, I got to learn how large companies, how they like to tell their stories, how they like to build a brand and customer experience on a global scale, how they like to sell their products online, how they like to market themselves and connect and build a connection between their brand and their customers, and what their visions are for the future. So it was really interesting and educating time for me in London. Then 5 years ago, in 2017, I moved from London to Halmstad. And a lot of people ask me, why the hell did you move from London to Halmstad? Like, why would you move from such a big city to a place in the middle of nowhere on the west coast of Sweden? But that's a story for another day. When I moved to Halmstad, I started up my own film production company and marketing agency. And I was applying some of the knowledge I learned from London and working with some really interesting Scandinavian brands. But I kept getting asked the same question over and over again. If we were to invest money in producing videos, producing content for our customers, how can we raise the return on investment? How can we get our audience to engage with our content instead of passively watching it and then moving on and forgetting that they ever watched the content in the first place? How can we build a connection with the audience? How can we make an engaging experience online? So for some time, I was searching around, looking for tools, looking for strategies, looking for ways to create better experiences. And I saw a lot of things happening in China, a lot of things happening in the US, but not the same things really happening in Europe so much. So that led me on to my second company in 5 years in Sweden, and that is Kiwio. So in 2019, I started Kiwio, And what we do is we build interactive shopping experiences. So it's an interactive shopping platform to turn passive content that you already make, product images, product videos, and so forth, into engaging interactive experiences that converts your viewers into customers. As you can see here, we have Tencent's website. This is from the springtime, during their spring campaign. And they simply have interactive layovers over their content that provide a more engaging experience. But when we look at the e-commerce industry as a whole, we all know that during COVID, e-commerce has grown quite a lot. The sales shot up. People working from home and people are staying home, shopping online more. But now we're seeing a bit of a dip in the industry. But the forecast looks pretty good for the future. But how do you affect the way people buy products? How do you affect the way people buy clothes? What affects someone to decide to buy something online rather than in a store? And there are many aspects of how people buy products. We're not going to have a psychology lesson here in how the brain works, but what we're going to focus on today is the online shopping experience. How can that experience really affect if people will buy on your website or not? And does a bad shopping experience really affect your customers, really affect if they buy your products online or not? And from a McKinsey report from 2021, 75% of people switch brands due to bad shopping experiences. Not because it's a bad product, not because you're a bad brand, but they're looking for better experiences online, especially millennials and the Gen Z audience. We're hard people to please, and we want more than just a transaction online. Millennials and Gen Zs tend to want to know the values of a company. They want to see some transparency, and they want to shop and spend their money with brands that they can connect with on another level. Not just Googling something, finding a product, going to the product page and checking out. We're hard people to please, unfortunately. But when we look at the shopping experience, when we try to take some inspiration on how we can improve that shopping experience, we need to look at the physical store. If you took a look at the numbers in the e-commerce penetration, we're not at 50% yet. So most people still shop in the real world, but we're getting there in the digital world. So why is the physical store so good? And why is the physical store still better than shopping online in most cases? So if you just look at how you go into a clothes store today, you have a sales rep that is there to help you. You have a selection of clothes. You might not know what you want to buy, so you might ask the sales rep to help you out. They might help you find a few things, and then you can go into a changing room and try them on. So you can feel the clothes. You can see how they fit. You can see how you feel. Do you look nice? Do you think this suits your style or not? And then you can make a comfortable purchasing decision. You can decide whether you want to buy those clothes or not based on your experience that you've had in the physical store. And some of this is really difficult to replicate in a digital world. Personalization and support are two factors in e-commerce shopping that is really hard to replicate. You can't try on clothes before you buy clothes in the digital world. If you go to most stores today, you can't talk to a sales rep directly within 30 seconds to ask any questions you might have. So you're kind of left alone. You're kind of left alone to your own free will to try to find what you want to find. If you don't know what you want to find, it's quite difficult. So if we look at how we can improve the way people shop online today, we need to look at how people shop online today before we can improve that. And these are if we look at most stores, these are the typical steps you would go through from landing on a website, viewing content, you try to identify, you try to find a product that you want to buy. Then once you find a product, you go to the product page, you read the product page. Sometimes they can be long and boring, I'm sorry, but product pages can have a lot of text. And sometimes technical information is needed, but they can be quite long. But once you've gotten through that product page and you figured out, I want to buy this product, you can just go to payment and checkout and payment. And this way of shopping hasn't changed since the 90s. If you look at Amazon, this is Amazon's website from 1999. And if some of you who don't know how Amazon started, they were a online bookstore at first, before they became the Amazon we know of today. So Jeff Bezos had this amazing idea to sell 1,000 books online. And this is pretty much how they started out. As you can see here, we have content, we have books. Try to inspire you to buy a certain book. They have the London Calling, the next best-selling book from '99. I don't know how many of you have read that book. I haven't, so hopefully it was good. Then you have the search bar and the categories to try to find books that you might be interested in buying. Just like you do today in 2022, you have a search bar and categories. And then we have product pages. From the 90s, you have the product information, you have the images, the pricing, and so on. You have customer reviews. They even had an algorithm to show recommended books based on what you're looking at from 1999. So the product pages haven't changed for 23 years. And then you have an add to cart button to the right. And the cute thing about this is in 1999, they had to remind people that you can actually take the book out of the cart. So you didn't have to buy it once you added it to the shopping carts, because people weren't so used to that in those days. And then once you add it to the cart, you can go to payment. So this way of shopping is still the same experience as we have today. It's still the same experience. If you go to a site today, you go through these exact steps to make a purchase. And this shopping experience is designed for people who know what they want to buy. It's kind of tailored towards people who know exactly what they're looking for. They know exactly what they want to buy once they get to your website. If you don't know what you want to purchase, what am I supposed to search in the search bar? That search bar is useless to me if I don't know what I want. What if I'm sitting on a train to work, or sitting on a sofa with a glass of wine, or maybe on a toilet, and I'm looking on my phone, like a lot of people do. I don't, but I've heard people do it. Then what are you supposed to search? If you don't know what you want to buy, what category are you going to go to? You're just mindlessly going to go from category to category, trying to be inspired by the same old product page that you see over and over again, which is not so inspiring in most cases. So my statement I said earlier, really, the buyer's journey, the way people shop online today, hasn't changed for 20 years, hasn't changed since I've been wearing these horrible clothes. I'm not wearing colors like that right now. I'm wearing a white t-shirt, a beige hoodie, and black jeans. Pretty basic now. So fashion has changed, but the shopping experience hasn't changed. I mean, when we talk about e-commerce, a lot has changed in e-commerce. A lot has been invested in logistics, warehousing. A lot of back-end things have been really improved. Now you can send clothes one day later to your house. It's amazing. But when it comes to the front end of your e-commerce stores, it's really the same. Maybe it looks a little bit better. Maybe you have bigger photos and some videos. Maybe the site loads a bit faster. But the rest of the experience is exactly the same. So this experience is really made for people who know what they want to buy. But 92% of your audience don't know what they want to buy. They're not ready to buy a product. They are virtually window shopping. Like I said, you could be on a sofa, you could be on a toilet or on a train, and you're bored, and instead of scrolling through TikTok, you're scrolling through someone's e-commerce store. And you're not ready to buy. You don't know what you want to buy. So you need to be inspired by a store to be able to make a purchase. Lucky enough, 72% of the audience frequently impulse buy products if they're inspired to buy. So most stores today, they're really designed for the 8% of your traffic, the 8% of your audience. The search bars, the categories, the way you shop today is great for 8% of your audience. But the other 92% need just a little bit more, need a little bit of inspiration. They need you to tell them to buy this product and why they should buy this product. And that's some of the issues that we have with the shopping experience today. Svensk Handel, they have spoken a lot about improving the shopping experience quite recently. I don't know how many people have been to D-Congress this year, but the major theme at D-Congress was really about the customer experience. How can we improve the customer experience? They spoke a lot about social shopping, social commerce, live shopping, video shopping, interactive shopping, the metaverse, a lot of terminology being thrown out there. Some of those things really are made or are for the future, like the metaverse. I mean, there are companies here and now making a lot of money out of the metaverse, but that's not mainstream yet for the consumers to shop via the metaverse. But in the future, it could be the way. But a lot of these ways to shop, a lot of these things that the Congress has spoken about are here for today, and are accessible today to create a better shopping experience for the 92% of the traffic that you have coming to your website. So let's just talk about a few of these trends and a few of these ways of improving your shopping experience. The first one is an obvious one, influencer marketing. Everyone knows what influencer marketing is now. It's a very common way to buy products on social media. Brands work with influencers. Influencers show products in an image, and people buy the product. But why does it work so well? Why do people give in to some products that an influencer waves at you in a photo? And that's because people trust influencers. People trust the recommendations of an influencer that they might have been following for quite some time, and they all of a sudden see a post about them and says, hey, look at this product, it's amazing, you should buy it, it's great. So they trust their recommendations because they built a connection with them. They built a connection with them, they know about them, and that's, for some reason, that's more difficult for a brand to build the same connection with the audience. So more people trust influencers' recommendations over brands' recommendations when they shop on social media. And then we have live shopping. Live shopping is another trend that's not been around as long as influencer marketing, but it's something it's growing in popularity pretty fast all over the world. And for those who haven't experienced live shopping before, it's effectively starting a live video on social media, Facebook Live, Instagram Live, you name it, and talking to your audience, talking to your customers, and showing products, and maybe trying to advertise and sell 5, 10 different products, like in this image with the makeup collection here. The great thing about live shopping is that you get the chance to talk to your audience directly. You get the chance to build a relationship with your audience that attend that live shopping event. And if they have any questions, you get the chance to answer them. If we think about the physical store experience, support, asking questions, that's a part of a great in-store experience that we're lacking online. So live shopping can really help with that, to create some time for your audience to actually engage with you, actually engage with people that's part of your brand, and ask questions to make sure that they find the right product that's right for them. So these trends, live shopping, influencer marketing, social commerce, there's a lot of, when we talk about buying products on social media, I won't go too deep into that because everyone's experienced that by now. It's a common way of shopping. But it really has grown in China the most. China is the region in the world where this has really exploded on another level. I don't know if you've seen any TikTok videos of streets filled with influencers filming themselves and selling products, but they're a bit crazy about it. But last year, in 2021, on Singles Day is the biggest shopping event in China for some reason. Alibaba, they hired 2 influencers to live stream for several hours. And during that live stream, they managed to sell $3 billion worth of products in hours, which is insane. $3 billion of products were sold in hours from 2 influencers. I just can't imagine how much money Alibaba paid them in the first place. But just to put that in perspective, if $3 billion doesn't sound like a lot of money to anyone, Amazon globally sell about $1 billion every single day. So in hours, Alibaba managed to sell 3 times what Amazon sell all over the world through live shopping. But why do these trends, why do these ways of shopping work really well? And when you look at the way people shop, it's because when you identify, or when you try to find a product online, it can be difficult. Like I said earlier, if you have a search bar, what am I going to search if I don't know what I want to buy in the first place? But if I'm on social media and an influencer that I trust is telling me to buy this product, then I don't need to spend the time trying to find something. I'm being told, I'm being inspired to buy this product. So that whole step is eradicated and is in the content itself. You're creating inspirational content with influencers that you trust, and you get inspired to purchase and to have a positive shopping experience online. And when you have a positive experience, you tend to start thinking positive thoughts about the brand, funnily enough. You tend to start thinking, wow, this is a great brand. Maybe even if the product that comes in to your door the day later, maybe if the product isn't as great as the influencer made it out to be, you remember about the shopping experience that you had. And you tell your family, you tell your partners, you tell your friends about it. Oh, wow, I had a great experience. You should check it out. But some of these trends are not for every brand. Some of these trends can be expensive. When we talk about selling on social media, when we talk about different ways we can use social media to our advantage, influencers are needed to really scale this up, to really make this effective, because people trust them. So, as we know, influencers can be very expensive to work with. They have more leverage these days than they used to 10 years ago. But to really scale it up, if you're using social media to build shopping experiences, the way social media works is you need to produce a lot of content all the time. That's the issue. You need to keep producing because social media is a fast-paced environment. If you put out a post this morning, by the time you have dinner tonight, people are not going to see it anymore because so much is being put out there and it goes to your black hole of your Facebook feed, never to be seen again after several hours. So you need to keep producing more and more content, which is hard to scale and expensive to scale. But there is another trend that's been on the rise in recent years, mostly in China and mostly in the US, and slowly on the rise in Europe too. And it's what we call shoppable content. And shoppable content effectively is a way to use the content that you already produce, use the content that you already have. It could be product videos, it could be product images. And instead of allowing your customers to passively view your content, they can actually engage with it. You could actually add product buttons to your content. So when your audience, when your customers think, wow, those are nice jeans, I think I might buy them. Instead of trying to figure out what those jeans are called, or instead of going to a category page and finding 500 jeans, which ones are these ones, you can just click on them and purchase them within 2 clicks. So that's effectively what shoppable content is. And IKEA have been doing this for years. I've heard so many people say, oh, have you been to IKEA's website? It's really cool. They have buttons on images. It's great. I hope that most people have been to IKEA's website the last 2 years and probably had experienced this already without knowing what it was. But in this example, this was taken from about 4 or 5 days ago. In this example, we have an image with, I don't know how many products, there's quite a few products in that image. I have not counted. But let's say if I wanted to buy that lamp, for example, I don't know what it's called. If they weren't using shoppable content, I would have to search in the bar for a lamp, probably get 150 results. I would go to subcategories or categories and subcategories and subcategories of that because they have thousands of products. And then I'll probably still get another 200 results and I have to scroll and scroll and scroll to find that lamp just to buy it. And that's not a great shopping experience. If I'm in a rush, if I have a meeting in 5 minutes, but I really want to buy this lamp, I've got 5 minutes to check out. And if I need to get to my meeting and I don't buy this lamp in 5 minutes, I'm not going to remember to buy it afterwards because I'm stressed out with the meeting and what's happening and everything. But luckily with shoppable content, you can just click on that lamp and purchase it in 30 seconds within 2 clicks. And it's as simple as that. But IKEA is a really large company. And they've been doing this themselves. They have a lot of resources. And unfortunately, not every company is an IKEA. Not every company has the resources and the manpower that IKEA have to try out new things themselves privately, put them out there and scale them up without external help. So that's one reason why I started Kiwi in the first place, is to make technology and shopping experiences like these more accessible. We partnered with Tencent. Tencent is not an IKEA. They don't have thousands of employees. They're a smaller brand. But with content that they recently produced for their spring collection earlier this year, they managed to turn their passive content into shopping experiences. They managed to, instead of going on Tencent's websites and and seeing amazing content, because this is really nice content, really inspiring content, instead of me thinking, oh, I like this pink jacket, I want to buy it. What is it called? What do I search in a bar? I don't know. Where do I find it? They might have 50 other pink jackets. I can just click on the jacket in the video, go to the product page and purchase it. As you can see here, there's no headlines. There's no big headlines telling you to purchase anything. It's just a visual experience, a visual way to shop. And the thing is, for the younger audience, for Gen Zs, for millennials, that is how they've brought up to shop. They've been raised to shop on social media. They've been raised to shop via content. And shoppable content allows you to bring the similar experiences that you can have on Facebook, on Instagram, and bring them to your website. So you can continue to supply interactive, engaging experiences for your customers on your own brand. But content doesn't have to be expensive. Content doesn't have to be studio produced all the time. I know that we live in a world, even on our websites, where we have campaigns, different campaigns changing sometimes on a weekly or monthly basis. It used to be that you would have 4 different campaigns, 1 for each season, but these days in the fashion industry, campaigns are much more quicker, faster cycles these days. So content and scaling content up is important. Scaling content up and producing content easier is important. We're not living in the days where we can spend 1 million kronor on a commercial once per year, and that will be enough to have sales going for 12 months. We need to produce cheaper content, easier to produce content on a quicker basis, even for the websites. Maybe not as quick as you need to do on social media, but we need to do the same thing here. And in this example, we have Chris Doyle, the director of marketing and sustainability at Tenson, simply just talking directly to the camera about these green fleece jackets. Very easily produced content. I don't know how many times you shot that.
One time.
One time, and they managed to make it into an engaging shopping experience where you can hover over the information icons to learn about the jackets, to make sure that they're the right jacket for you. Is it waterproof? Does it have a hood? Does it have inside pockets? Is it right for my trail? You can find that out. You can even see on the sidebar what to pair it with. So you can upsell and cross-sell your customers through content. Instead of, if they didn't have this interactive experience, you would passively watch this whilst on a toilet, on a train, on your sofa. I think, yeah, that's nice. I don't know what it's called. Don't know where to buy it, but it's nice. But now you can, if you're impulsively looking for something to buy and being inspired, it's only 1 click away to purchase that jacket. But instead of me talking about Tenson, let's bring Chris on stage to talk about his vision of how he sees the shopping experience in the future of Tenson. Welcome.
Thank you. Good morning. Good morning. First off, thank you for getting up early and showing up. For me, going to a conference at 7:30 in the morning is a bit difficult. A couple quick questions just so I can get a sense on who's in the room. How many retailers are here right now? Okay, and textile side or manufacturing side of fashion? Half arms. Students? Some students? Okay, and how about just brands, fashion brands, outdoor gear brands? Okay, cool. I just wanted to get a read so I could contextualize some of my comments. First of all, the presentation so far, I could tell a story about each one of those slides because since, I guess it's before you were born, I've been involved in e-commerce. In the United States, I was with REI. I joined it when it was about $89 million US per year. REI is Recreational Equipment Incorporated. It's an outdoor gear retailer. Today, it is a $4 billion US turnover per year. They have 25 million active members, And so the company has come quite a long way. And they were right at the forefront in the early 90s to do e-commerce. I bring up that example because what I want to convey is not only about the .com side of a retailer, in this case, but also how they manifested an extraordinary experience in the physical world. So fast forward to Tencent. How many people are aware of Tencent, the outdoor gear brand, the Swedish outdoor gear brand? Okay. When I do that in certain rooms, if people are under 30, most people are not familiar with Tencent because it's been around for about 71 years, 72 years almost. And during the 2000s, the brand lost a little bit of its luster. And it's because it went through about 7 different ownerships. And then in 2019, a whole new team came in, including myself, and we're trying to restore Tencent, the brand, to its former glory days when it was considered kind of the Patagonia and North Face of Europe. So one of the key ways we do that is through storytelling. Storytelling is the #1 thing that we have to pay attention to. Not e-commerce, storytelling. The second thing that we have to focus on is community building, not social influencers. Yes, we use social influencers to do that, but what Tencent must do, and what we work with the management team on, is trying to create that credibility and trust that has to go with technical gear for outdoor and adventure, for skiing, and yes, we have a lifestyle category as well for people who like to spend time in nature, but they might not be going up to Everest Base Camp. So you referred to, and you've shown here, a bit of the content that we had from a December journey that I organized. We went up to Everest Base Camp. Why did we do that? Well, we had a history of sending climbers up to the top of Mount Everest. And it had been a long time since people related Tencent to the outdoor and adventure gear category. And for the last 20 years, I've been spending time doing adventure tourism development around the world. So one of the things that happened, and don't tell my bosses this, but when I first came on, they said, hey, we're going to launch a new Himalaya collection. And I said, well, where are you going to shoot that? Oh, we're going to shoot that in Gotland. And this was like one of the first days where I was actually on the team. And I said, we are not going to do that. I love Gotland. I spent a lot of time there. But we're going to the Himalaya. How? So I organized it. We got great deals with some of my partners there. And we brought the crew up from Lukla to Everest Base Camp. You saw some of the Sherpas who were included in our experiences. Not only did they get us up to Everest Base Camp, but they served as our local talent to wear our outdoor and adventure gear. And it's carbon zero gear. So we had many messages to tell. Authentic people doing adventure travel, and we're doing it sustainably. These key messages are essential as we go to tell a story. And when we created the films, so we did an entire series of 9 films. They're film shorts, they're like 3 minutes. We just wanted to tell the story. So that was one of our key aims. Yes, we did world-class photography and world-class filmmaking on the product itself. But we did not have in mind Kiwio. And when we started putting up the content, you had contacted our CEO, Thomas Solin, and said, hey, we've got an idea on how you can actually make your content shoppable. And Thomas Nord and I got involved, and we said, hey, here's the easy solution. And there are other companies that are working on stuff, but it was about collaboration and partnership, another key aspect of the Tencent brand. And so we tested this out, and our content was up. We were seeing okay traffic on it, but people were watching it and then jumping out of the video. You know, they may have watched 30 or 40 seconds of it. But then what we decided to do is say, let's give them an option to watch the content without shoppability, and on the same page where they could see it, do shoppable content. And what happened was we had more engagement. People ended up going all the way through the content and then clicking through directly to the product. So over the summer, we saw quite a bit of impact on that. And I don't want to overstate it because there's a lot of variables that go into it. Our content was getting better, more inspirational. We were getting people into it. but we saw some impacts. Now, when you look at the site today, you will see not this shoppable content up front, because Tencent, as a young, and I mean recently young, the last 2 years, a young team, we're experimenting a lot. And so for everybody in here, in particular retailers and any of the brands that are selling direct to consumers, you know, test things, A/B testing and newsletters, shoppable newsletters, content on the site. But story is king, not cash is king, story is king. And we have to get out there and inspire people, and I'm speaking from Tencent's part, and you can interpret that how you like with your own brands or your retail stores, to get people to engage in the community, engage in the content, and then make purchases. So that's a key thing for us. Where I see things headed is a blend between cyber physical. So going into an outdoor gear store, you are there to get knowledge, inspiration, and information from retail sales staff. Those are the key elements. When you go to a Tencent.com or a Vidland, et cetera, you're not necessarily getting that. And we have to find and test ways that we can make it more shoppable. You can get information and such. You kind of made me laugh with one of your slides because you said live shopping is pretty new. It is in the digital realm. But is anybody aware of QVC in North America? It's been going on since the 80s. It's a proven, amazing concept. And it's because people can kind of interact with the product. They're seeing it, somebody's talking about it, they get information. And in the old days, they used to pick up the phone and buy the product. Totally successful. What's the modern day version of that? You just showed a little bit of it here, which is great. I absolutely see the future where, to your point, you come to the store and you're being inspired first, right? And you're seeing a whole array of potential stuff. And where you're inspired, you're going to go click that, and you want to be able to just take a quick look, maybe get information, but you'll dig if you need that. But if it's more of an impulse, which I've only done like shopping on an ad once, and SEO, paid advertising, all of that stuff, we're going to assume everybody's doing that. But what dropped right in front of me was this jacket. As soon as I saw it, I had to have it. And it's the first time I had ever done that. That was about 4 years ago. So in my head at Tencent, this is what we're trying to do is, how do I get people to buy now? I want to inspire them. I want them to be a part of our community, but I want them to convert. Otherwise, I don't have a job, right? Our team doesn't have a job. So this is kind of where we're headed. And this future is coming. It's here. People are doing amazing elements of it right now, but there's too many little pieces. So that's the big question right now is, how do we bring that together, make it super seamless and such? So maybe this is where you're going to jump off.
Yeah. So thank you, Chris.
Sure.
Thank you for sharing your story there a little bit. But let's just quickly move on to how other brands use shoppable content. Moving on from Chris talking about storytelling here, we have Swarovski. Swarovski sell great jewelry, really nice jewelry. They have this really nice commercial for Valentine's Day, but it's really fast-paced. The whole commercial is probably 30 seconds long. It has, I don't know how many pieces of jewelry in there. If I'm inspired to buy a really nice piece of jewelry, I don't know where to search for it. But luckily with shoppable content, you can just click on the video and see what content or see what products just came up in that video. And not just that, you can actually choose your size and add your products to the cart inside the video, inside the content. So with this, you don't actually need to have product pages. You don't actually need to view a product page to shop the product. You just literally go from content to checkout. That's as simple as that. Has anyone seen interactive movies on Netflix before, where you can actually change the narrative of the story based on your input? So it pause after some time, it'll give you 2 or 3 options, and you can choose what you want to happen. And you click on that, and the movie continues to play. Well, you can do the same thing here with shoppable content. You can personalize your content to your audience. In this example, this is a simple example where we just choose, are you a man or a woman? If we look at the physical store experience, if we have a young girl going to a store and an old man going to the same store, they're going to have two different experiences. They're looking for something completely different. They have different needs. But when a young girl and an old man go to the same e-commerce store today, they get delivered the exact same content and the exact same experience. It's not personalized. There are tools out there that can personalize the text to say, hey, whatever your name is. Or personalize your location. If you're in Sweden, then you have some geolocation personalized stuff. But we're talking about interest-based personalization. And this is a real challenge for e-commerce, and that's something that we can take from the in-store experience and use shoppable content to create more personalized experiences for your customers. And then we have Joyshop. Joyshop are a smaller brand that started doing live video on Facebook on a weekly basis. But they realized that over 90% of their audience who signed up to their shopping events didn't actually show up. Maybe they were busy, maybe they have family events, maybe they have something going on. Everyone's busy these days. So, and the issue with social media is after several hours, the content drops into the black hole of social media content. So they saw that sales were quickly dropping after they finished their live shopping events. So the longevity of their content that they're creating didn't last so long. So they turned their live shopping into shoppable content and made the momentum of the content that they created last longer by using it in newsletters, creating shoppable newsletters. So shoppable content doesn't have to just live on your website. You can use it in an omni-channel approach. You can use it in multiple channels to create shopping experiences in different platforms for your customers. Here's BMW creating shoppable content for social media advertisements, where instead of clicking through from an ad directly to the BMW website, you click and then you get treated with a shoppable experience where you can view different features of the car. And if you're interested in it, then at that point you can go to their website and book a test drive. This way of shopping increased their engagement, increased their click-through rates on their advertisements because they're creating an experience. They're not creating just a transaction. They're creating something deeper. Shoppable content is really engaging, but it's not just engaging, it converts. It builds brand loyalty because you're building a connection with your audience. And if you remember, 92% of your audience, they're window shopping. They don't know what they want to buy. So they have zero purchase intent. And shoppable content increases the purchase intent by inspiring your audience to purchase. And it works. You have 84%, and this is from a study done last year in the US and China, 84% of people that watch the shoppable video purchased the product from that video because they had a good experience. They're like, wow, this is really amazing. I'm inspired to buy something. If there's 10 products, I want to pick that one. And I want to buy it. 84% purchased the product from a shoppable video last year. So if you look back at the shopping, the buyer's journey, why this works so well is because these 5 steps, we take more than half it away. These 5 steps, every step in this journey creates friction to your customers. It creates friction between them getting a credit card out to buy something. If they don't know what to buy, if they're part of the 92% of people who don't know what to buy, they're not going to be inspired by most e-commerce stores today because the content out there is passive. So when we use shoppable content, we turn these 5 steps into just 2. Content and checkout. That's all you need. You don't even need product pages. Just content and checkout. Be inspired and then buy. That's what people are looking for. And that's what creates engagement. That's what creates conversion. That's what creates connection between brands and the consumers. And this way of shopping, you don't need influencers. You can use the content that you already create, that you already budgeted for. So you don't need to be creating new content just to make this work. If you're a company that creates a lot of content for every campaign, shoppable content is easy to get started with. You can use shoppable content because you can use it on your website. You control the shopping experience. You control how your customers shop. Social media, you don't have that control. If you have all your competitors there, so it's very easy for your audience to lose interest from your content very quickly. So just a very quick recap. I said this morning, and some of you nodded or shook your head when I was saying it, shopping experiences on e-commerce has not changed since the 90s. They've been exactly the same. And I'm talking, in most cases, they've been exactly the same since the 90s, since I was wearing those horrible clothes in England. I'm hoping the fashion in Sweden in the 90s was much better than UK, because it was terrible, for sure. It was borderline abuse for my parents. 92% of your audience don't know what they want to buy when they come to your website. And the traditional experience is designed for people that know what they want to buy. So that's designed for the 8%. So create experiences that are designed for the 92% instead of designing it for the 8%. And just very quickly, if some of you are inspired by this talk this morning, instead of going away and figuring out how do I start with something like this? How do I start with creating a better shopping experience? You can be your own worst enemy sometimes. You can think big and think, you go back to the office, you have a meeting with your marketing team or your e-commerce team, or even your bosses, and say, I have a really great idea, but it's gonna require 12 months and a big team and X amount of kroner to get it going. You can be your own worst enemy by thinking too big and then not being able to get it off the ground. So what I say is, strategize. If you look at what type of brand you are, if you work with influencers already, influencer marketing, live shopping, they could be the way to go. But if you don't have a budget for influencers, if you have a lot of content that you already produce a lot of anyway, shoppable content could be the better way of creating a better shopping experience for your customers today. But I would say is think big, because the shopping experience is super important. It's vital, especially if you're a brand that don't have your products in a store. If you don't use retailers, if you don't use distributors, or don't you have your own stores, then you rely on your own shopping experience online to generate revenue. So think big. Think about how you can make the perfect experience for your customers, but start off small. Start off with something that you can release within weeks, just like Are You Productive? Are You Productive are a huge brand. 15,000 plus products in 14 countries, very big brand. And when they were looking at shopping experiences that they want to create, they had really big ideas, but they start off small. They start off with product guides, because they have complex products. They need to educate the customers on what products are right for them. So they have these product guides, and then they just add simple hotspots. And they release this in 2 weeks. 2 weeks after looking at using shoppable content, they released this in 14 countries, increased engagement by 70%, increased conversion by over 40%. Conversions from product page to from campaign page to product page increased by 121% because it was just one click away instead of using the search bar. So that is that. If anyone has any questions about how to create a better experience, if anyone wants the PDFs of this slideshow, please reach out to me. The QR code goes to my LinkedIn, so connect with me there, and just, if you want the slideshow, send me an email. I'll happily send it to you, so I know that some of this will go straight over your head by lunchtime. So if you want to be reminded and want to have a visual representation of this, please send me an email and I'll send you the PDFs so you have that for future reference. But thank you for coming in early. Thank you for not falling asleep this morning. And I hope you enjoy the rest of the morning.